Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we're taking a look at the top 8 deck lists for a recent event that took place in London at a location called Rule Zero, and it was a win a case event. A case of first chapter was up for grabs and there were 51 players. This one was quite local to me. It was in London, although I did not know about it, although I wouldn't have been able to go even had I known about it. But always great to cover some more events in my neck of the woods, and in the top 8 lists, a particular YouTuber that I'm sure you all know is featured, so it'd be great to take a look at their latest lists. I don't know what the background noise is going to be like today. The animals in my house are going absolutely crazy. My cat Hades, I've come to learn this is just a typical cat trait, because I've not had cats all my life, only for the last 6 months. But he'll pick a spot a week. That's his spot, and he'll be there for a good week, and he'll leave it if he needs to use a litter tray or to eat or drink, or perhaps you can coax him out temporarily for a treat. But other than that, that's his spot, whether he fits in it or not. If I fits, I sits. If I don't fit, I sits. And my dog Pippin, who we've had for a much longer time, they have a rocky relationship, but Pippin always likes to know where Hades is. At the very, as soon as she wakes up, she has to see where he is. I think it's partly protection. I think it's partly watching you, a bit depending on the mood. But she has to know where he is. So whenever he moves place, if she can't find him straight away, then she starts going nuts. And even when we show her where he is, she'll forget. She's old. She'll forget an hour later and go back to his last spot and be like, he's not here! And in response, the parrot goes nuts. You might not even be able to hear all this. I've closed all the doors. Everyone's been fed, treated. But yeah, Hades is relocated to my room at the moment. Here's a video of my geeky display. And Hades very, very subtly trying to disguise himself as a Pokemon. But yeah, nonetheless, I may have said all that for no reason. You may not even hear the animals kicking off in my house. But there you go. There's my little animal story. Let's take a look at the top 8 deck lists. So we've got quite a nice variety here. We've got 3 Ruby Amethyst lists, always the measuring stick by which we judge how interesting a top 8 set of lists is going to be. But our first place list, which is Ruby Amethyst, does have a little bit of spice. We've got Peter Pan Control. So let's just zoom straight in. We are running the 1 copy of Peter Pan Shadow with Evasive and Rush, but most importantly Tiptoe, giving Evasive to our other Rush characters, who we have in the form of Maui and Madam Mim. A tech that's raising in popularity to be able to deal with opposing Evasives and just make your Rush characters more annoying. But we're also running 2 copies of You Can Fly. Action song, 2 cost inkable. 2 or less can sing it, 2 or more can sing it for free. Chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this is kind of interesting. This was featured recently in the Steadfast video looking at Ruby Silver. Which is another interesting and fun looking deck, and that utilized the You Can Fly. But even Steadfast said in the video, it sometimes he said along the lines of, I know it's a bit of a weird choice and it doesn't always get value, but when it does, it feels really strong. But yeah, now we see it. I don't know if this was motivated by that, to be honest, because that Steadfast video came out around the same time that this tournament was happening. So not necessarily a direct inspiration, perhaps Charlie's own take on the deck. Because yeah, this is going to make you a lot more efficient at dealing with the most common evasive character that we're seeing, which is the stylish Surfer Mini in Ruby Amethyst, which Charlie's playing themselves. But yeah, this just means that, I mean, obviously if you're going second, they're still, well, you have to wait for them to exert before you can challenge anyway. It's always going to feel better if you're going first, because then you get your 3 cost down on turn 3, which really has to be, well, either you got your snake down on 2, or you got your fox down on 3, so that then when they put down their stylish Surfer Mini on 3, as soon as they exert it, probably not till your turn 5 now, you're able to play You Can Fly and challenge straight in. But yeah, a way of dealing with that, and again, a rise in evasives in general, Greenfasa and just Emerald doing all sorts of evasive things. So yeah, really interesting, and even not as a direct answer to evasive, just again making our characters more annoying. Peter Pan Shadow already gives evasive to Maui and Fox, making them harder to remove. And yeah, if we just give evasive to any of our characters, whether it's a Maleficent, our Ursula, like whatever, if they can't deal with it, but like either they suddenly now can't deal with it at all because they don't have evasive or they don't have removal, or you're making them use removal sometimes perhaps on a character they wouldn't really want to, but just because they need to slow you down. So I can understand the diversity of You Can Fly. I'm yet to try it. I don't want to say I'm all in or I'm all out, but it's certainly interesting and worth the try. So I thought that was the best place to start. Looking at the rest of the list, we have 6 1-drops, 2 of which being the Pascal, so a bit weaker to chip-based decks, but again, it does allow him to cheat out extra lore if we get a nice wide board. We are running the 3 Kuzco to be another way to get down a character by turn 2, because if we don't hit a 1-drop, we can be really slow, and it's another card that lets us extend a bit more into the Be Prepared and things like that, because we draw cards when he's banished. So yeah, I think Kuzco is a fantastic addition. We've got the Snake, the Fox, 3 Maleficent, 4 Mini, 4 Goat, 3 Rabbit, the 1 Shadow, as I said, the 4 Maui, as I said, all the way on in the Lady Tremaine. I've always been all the way in on Lady Tremaine, but after I did my tournament run of Ruby Amethyst, and a few of the comments said that it might be better to drop to 3. There was one comment that just said she's too easy to play around. Because of like additional 1-drops that most players are playing. And I do agree with that statement, but I still feel like more often than not she gets her value, and you still have to force them to have enough ink and characters to make that play. But I can still see the point, and personally I think I'm going to be bringing this down to a 3, but as I just said, I've been running 4 this whole season. It's still really strong. 2 Ursula, just to be really annoying, denying lore, drawing cards, big and bulky and questing big. Ursula to slow the opponent down, nice stat line, and also questing big. 3 copies of Maleficent for the removal. We've got the 3 Teeth and Ambitions to be extra help against evasive, good against aggro, good against Steel Amber Songs, good against anti-evasive if they're running things like Fidget. And then the songs, as I said, You Can Fly, 4 Be Prepared, 4 Friends on the other side. So yeah, most of the list looking pretty standard. Even the Peter Pan Shadow pretty standard by this point. But yeah, the You Can Fly, very, very interesting. What do you think? Let me know in comments. Will you be at least trying this out? Have you tried it out already and just felt like it wasn't doing enough? Let me know. Let's talk about it. I'm always a fan of the higher count of just the 1-3s, just because of the amount of chip in format. But Pascal consistently does well and led Charlie all the way to first place, so you got to respect the data. So congratulations to them. We'll do all the Ruby Amethysts in a row. This deck is very similar. No You Can Fly, but we're running 2 copies of the Peter Pan Shadow. We've got a 3-1 line in terms of Ursula and Elsa, which I think is fine. Running the 3 Tremaine here. We see the 3 Teeth and Ambitions. We're running the 2 Merlin Crab as another way of our Stylish Surfer Mini dealing with opposing evasive, and to just boost any of our characters up to be more formidable on the field. 4 Maleficent. We see the full 4 counts of all our bouncy stuff. The 7 1-drops and the 3 Kuzco. I'm a big fan of this line. So yeah, looks really good. Congratulations to Andrew. And the last Ruby Amethyst list, also in top 8. Once again, running the 2 Peter Pan Shadow to be an evasive answer and to make our evasive characters more annoying. Only 3 Maui. We are running the 2 Fidget here as another evasive answer, and hey, he can just be a good quester in and of himself if they don't have anything to deal with him. We're also running the 6 1-drops here and the 3 Kuzco. But yeah, 2 Tremaine, much lower count. We're seeing no Elsa. We're seeing no Maleficent either. All the way in on the Ursulas. We're also seeing the 2 copies of Goofy, which was a staple of all my Chapter 1 Ruby Amethyst decks. I think Goofy's really good for his cost. Deals with evasive. His willpower keeps him out of a lot of things range, so he often does bait removal, and you can get a lot of value. So I'm a big fan of the Goofy. So yeah, list looks good. Congratulations to Rafiq. Next up, in second place, one of my favourite decks of this format, we've got some Amber Ruby Mufasa. We are seeing a 4-3 Queen line here. I'm personally not a big fan of this. I like to reduce my bad hits off of Mufasa, 4 of which being the Queens. I wouldn't even say that Commanding Presence Queen is a great hit off Mufasa. It's all right, but I wouldn't say it's a fantastic hit. And again, like playing these cards early game, in my experience, just ink starves you. So I'm not a huge fan of the Queen line. We don't see the Stitch line here, which I'm also not a fan of the Stitch line being in here. Maybe just the Rock Stars if you really want, but I think there are better alternatives. I'd rather run a bigger evasive package personally. But right at the beginning of format, I was running the Queen line, and it it's not a bad decision by any means. It's just not my personal preference, but did well for Jordan. We're running the 4 copies of Mother Gothel and 4 copies of Rapunzel as being our most consistent draw for this deck. All the way in on the Queen of Hearts. You normally see this as a 2 count for opposing aggro, for slowing down Steel Amber Song sometimes if they're reckless in their questing and leaving certain things exposed, or sometimes just 2 is the extra bit of damage you need. But yeah, I tried and tested. It serves its purpose. 4 copies of Doc to be character cost reducing. Seeing no lanterns in here, falling off for most Amber Ruby players. 4 copies of Stylish Surfer Mini. We got the 3 Hades for that monster, for that character recycle. Big fan of Hades. 4 Mufasa, obviously making the whole deck tick. 3 is a respectable stat line. Questing for 2, and when he's banished, the top card of our deck, if it's a character card, it goes straight onto the field. So lets us keep tempo. Well, one of the best plays you can make with this deck is turn 3 Doc and turn 4 Mufasa, unless you've gone turn 2 Mother Gothel and then turn 4 Rapunzel. I'm never a fan of playing turn 2 Mother Gothel. I think there's far too much teeth and ambitions and let the storm rage on in format. I think it should be punished more often than not, but I've not seen it be punished that much, so just putting my distaste for the turn 2 Gothel. I don't think it's wise, but I don't see it punished, so why not? But yeah, Mufasa really strong. We talked about the Queen. 4 copies of Goofy in here is my favourite addition to Amber Ruby that I've been representing for a while. Really strong, great hit off of Mufasa, another 5-star character that we can... 5-star Frog Splash. Another 5-cost character that we can get out early if we put down Doc on turn 3. Answers most opposing evasives. I think Goofy is a low-key MVP of this format, without anyone really knowing. 4 Mal, we see the 3 Queen of Hearts, popularised by Steadfast. I'm personally, far be it from me to go against Steadfast, who is a far better deck builder than myself, and a far better player than myself. Personally, I'm still not a fan of the Queen of Hearts. Like, I just feel like she doesn't get value enough games out of 10. If that makes sense. Maybe 2 or 3 games out of 10 games I found Queen of Hearts to be good. But again, Steadfast is the man, so we respect it. 4 copies of Lady Tremaine, 4 Surfer Stitch for the additional draw. We do see the 2 Scar, which I do like to think I have a little hand in, like, the slight increase in Scar that Amber Ruby was playing. I've been repping it for a while. Be honest, I have stopped playing it because I uploaded a video, so it was called something along the lines of they didn't respect the doc and paid for it. And it was just one game, me playing Amber Ruby against Steel Amber Songs. And they made some really, what I think, they made some decisions that I wouldn't have made and let me keep Doc longer, which allowed me to get out Scar and just wipe their entire field and bring the game back. But I must admit, that was one game out of many where I got that much value out of Scar, but I still do like Scar. He's a great hit off of Mufasa, and you can get a lot of value. 3 copies of Maleficent. I think without Lanterns, this is fine. I'm still playing Lanterns because, in my opinion, it really hurts to miss Doc by turn 3, and having Lanterns opens you up more to by turn 4 you can actually play Tremaine if you want to. Turn 5 you can play Stitch with Doc and Lantern, or Scar. You can get Maleficents out sooner, so I'm still a fan of the Lantern over the Be Prepared, which again becoming more popularized, I think mostly as a result of Steadfast video. And again, full respect to Steadfast, better player than me, better deck builder than me, but I do still stand by what I originally said in my Amber Ruby Mufasa deck. I feel like for every game that Be Prepared was necessary, there will be 3 or 4 more where it just made your deck less consistent. Perfectly happy for many people to disagree with me on that. Steadfast disagrees with me on that, and I respect him very much, but that's still my opinion for what it's worth. I'm not gonna for what it's worth. But yeah, other than that, deck looks really good. Fantastic run by Jordan, so congratulations to them. And next up in top 4, we have Alphos, a fellow content creator and another fantastic deck builder and player. And they took Sapphire Steel Wheel. I've been calling this Porp and Ping, but I don't think Porp and Ping is really a great representative of this deck anymore. I think Sapphire Steel Wheel is probably a better name to call it, so we'll go with that. But yes, running the 3 copies of Jafar Royal Vizier, getting evasive on his turn so that you can combat the opposing evasive characters. 3 copies of Prince Eric, really nice turn 2 drop, just keeps them in check, being able to hit for 3 and having 3 willpower, hit for 3 with the Challenger too, and having 3 willpower keeps him out of range of a lot of the chip cards. We got 3 copies of Mickey for that accelerated ramp, giving us access to a turn 5 Cogsworth or a turn 5 Beast, but just inherently what we want to do, get our Inkwell as high as possible. 3 copies of Benja, respecting the meta, taking out opposing Fishbone Quills in the mirror, I imagine is very, very strong. Taking out those Sorcerer's spell books to allow the game to go longer against Ruby Amethyst, taking out the Sleepy's Flutes, all sorts of things. 4 copies of Belle for that additional ramp if you need her for the reader book ability. If the Fishbone Quill, you didn't see it, or you just want the additional ramp, but mostly here for my favourite part, becoming a 5 quest character with 10 or more ink in the Inkwell. So I've made my thoughts clear on Belle. I'm probably wrong. I think I can put my hands up to say. But yeah, always show the respect for the fact that if you do have this 10 ink, then this just becomes have an answer for me, probably removal, like hard removal. Like you could also potentially have like Pinocchio to exert or some things like that, or Elsa, but most of the time it's probably going to require hard removal, or I'm going to probably just quest ahead of you. 3 copies of Flavisham. We don't need to be all in. We're running the whole new world. We're running the Beast, but allowing us to banish an item when he comes into play and quest to draw additional cards. And 6 is nice, big and bulky, and being able to do this by turn 4 is really good for tempo. 4 copies of Cogsworth, someone else that can sing our 5 cost songs. Nice stat line, giving resist to all of our characters is big, really like offsets the opponent's maths. 4 copies of Beast for that additional draw. One of the MVP of Rise of the Floodborn. I said it. 4 copies of Tinkerbell, really strong for that spread damage, and the Puny Pirate to put an extra 2 damage when you banish a character. 4 Hades for the removal. 4 all the way in on the Nothing to See, just for the information, knowing if it's the best time to play a whole new world, best time to put down our Bell, or whatever it is we're prioritizing, the Beast or the Bell or the Tink. Trying to bait out that removal before we do so, and just information is strong. 3 copies of Smash, I'm really glad to see. Sometimes the Dock, the Arthur, the Ariel, they've just got to go. 2 copies of Let It Go for additional removal. Small account, can be sung by our 5 cost characters, but again, there's only so much funneling of the opponent's Inkwell we want to do, but I think that's probably less to do with the decision. Alphos probably just said this is fine as a count, especially considering we're running chip damage cards. Whole new world, as I said. 4 Grab Your Swords for that, as for the pre-mentioned chip damage cards for some nice spread, and you can literally do board wipes with multiples of these, especially if you're singing them for far cheaper. 4 Popsicle and 4 Fishbone Quill. So yeah, a really tidy looking list. Huge congratulations to Alphos. I'm trying to slowly turn them into the Batman to my Joker. I don't think they're aware of it. I think even if they were, they would be like, go away. But I don't care. I'm gonna make it so. They're in my neck of the woods. I'm gonna go out of my way to mildly inconvenience them. If we run into each other at real life events, I will. If I can plan their routes, then I will put little Lorcana Villain bobbleheads on the way, laughing. Perhaps they have a preference for soy milk in their hot drinks, and I will go around the entire event and buy all the soy milk so there's none for them. I don't know why I've decided to do this, but I have decided to do this. Congratulations to Alphos. Next up in top 4, we have Dan with some Steel Amber Tiana Bodyguards. We're seeing this list, or similar versions to it, more and more, which is great. Like even this late in the meta, great to see new things like coming out the woodworks and performing really, really well. I actually think this looks similar to the deck that top 8'd the Return of the Mim event. Yeah, it actually is. Card for card, the same list. So probably heavy inspired by that. And hey, nothing wrong with that. So we've got 4 copies of Ballroom Sensation Cinderella and 2 copies of the Stout-Hearted Cinderella. The Ballroom Sensation is, as well as being a shift target, is going to be able to sing our 3 cost songs nice and cheap. Let the Storm Rage On and Strength for a Raging Fire. And of course, the Stout-Hearted with that singing sword. When we do play one of our songs, only 8 songs, but they'll come up. We can challenge ready characters, resist 2, quest for 3, 5/5 stat line, big and strong. We're also very aggro. We have got 4 copies of Lilo Making a Wish, just a 1-cost uninkable 1/1 but questing for 2. Nicely followed up by 4 copies of the Bodyguard Simba to protect our aggro characters. We're also running a 4/4 of the Stitch line, the Floodborn version, of course, with the Adoring Fans. When we play our 2-cost or less characters, we can draw a card, and all the characters we've mentioned are 2-cost or less, but we also see 4 copies of the 2-cost Sleepy, nodding off. 2/3 stat line, quest for 2, which is huge for a 2-cost with 2/3. With the ability Yawn, this character enters play exerted, which a lot of the time isn't even going to matter. You are going to get value off of Sleepy. Yeah, really nice addition to these Amber aggro decks. 4 copies of Doc to play our characters a lot cheaper. Opens us up to a turn 5 Beast or Moana. 1 copy of Piglet, once again, with that 2/4 stat line, meaning he's a really good target for Rapunzel. You always get max value and quests higher. The best replacement for Chapter 1's Mr. Smee. 2 copies of Benja, respecting the meta to remove those items. And then 4/4 of Hercules and the Prince. Hercules having a 3/3 stat line, the Prince only having 1/3, but questing for 2, that little bit more, and giving resist and having resist 1 in and of himself. So both difficult to take out in their own rights, protecting all of our aggro characters, but most importantly protecting Tiana with resist 2 and 1/4 stat line. And what you give is what you get. Well, this character is exerted and you have no cards in play. Your opponent can't play actions, so shut down a lot of the meta essentially, and just know that you are not going to see it. Be prepared. You're not going to see grab your sword. You're not going to see a whole new world. There's a lot of stuff that just gets completely shut down, and if you can protect Tiana with these bodyguarders, then that's going to be really annoying for the opponent. Also running 2 copies of Moana with the We Can Fix It. Whenever she quests, re-ready our princess characters, so that's going to re-ready Tiana. It's going to re-ready both Cinderellas. It's going to re-ready the Rapunzel here for the draw. So yeah, that can absolutely come in handy. Obviously if you're using it with Tiana, you've got to be careful because she needs to be exerted for her ability to be working. So maybe you'd quest Tiana, quest Moana to re-ready Tiana, and then use Tiana to sing one of our songs, something along those lines. Only 1 copy of Beast. Budget players, rejoice. I'm not a market watch guy, so I don't know the price of everything here. I don't know what the Rockstar Stitches are. I can't imagine the Tianas are much because they're in a starter deck. I don't know what Lilo's are at the moment. Yeah, so Cinderella, Stitch, and Lilo are the 3 that I'm not sure what their going rate is. Obviously, Rapunzel is the other big one, but only running 1 copy of Beast. And hey, you could probably run this at a lower count of Rapunzel. Yeah, I think with some changes to, like, if you've got any count of Rapunzel or Beast, play as many as you have, and then have the rest of this be the deck. And then, depending on how many spaces you've got, you could go an additional Piglet, you could go an additional Benja, something along those lines. If you've got more Cinderella Stout-Hearted, maybe you go a higher count of them. But yeah, most of this looks pretty budget-friendly, or easy to make it nearly as good while playing a more budget-friendly version. So yeah, huge congratulations to Dan. Moving into the top 8, I should have looked at this one straight after Alphos. We've got another Sapphire Steel Wheel. So a lot of this, as we talked about not long ago, we're running an extra evasive character in the... we've got one of the Cruella de Vils here who does the exact same job as Jafar. We're seeing the Winnie the Poohs here instead of the Mickeys, who obviously pros and cons. The con being it's not assured. Winnie the Pooh could be taken out before getting to use the ability. It also requires you to have something in your hand that you want to throw in the inkwell, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the time that's what this deck wants to do anyway, because it's just building to a whole new world. Like Fishbone Quill is perfectly good, but sometimes it won't be preference and Mickey would be better. But the preference of Winnie the Pooh is that he's inkable, he quests higher, he's got a slightly better stat line with a 2/3 instead of a 1/3, and there's a chance you can get it off multiple times. 2 Benja for the item removal. We're running 2 copies of the Tiny Tactician to be a shift target to our big Tink. We're running a low count of Cogsworth, only 3. We do see the 1 Gaston here with a developed brain. When you play this character, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put 1 into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order, which is good, strong search. 4/4 stat line is nice, and questing for 3 is big. We're running 2 copies of Tamatoa here, who's going to gain more value from having additional items. We're once again only playing 2 items, but he can recycle them to our hand, which is always good. And again, if they are down, then he's going to get additional lore, and he's bulky. Only 2 copies of the nothing to hide to scout the hand, 4 smash, 2 let it go, 4 counter whole new world, only 3 grab your swords, and 4/4 of our Porpoisicle and Fishbone Quill. So yeah, a few count differences. I think Winnie the Pooh is the biggest statement difference, but overall a fantastic looking list. So congratulations to Fergus. And last but not least, I've called this Greenfasa Royalty. So it is a Greenfasa deck, high in the evasives, but there is some innovation here. So the Mufasa here, we've talked about Mufasa a lot. We talked about Doc. We talked about Simba. We are running the 4 copies of You Have Forgotten Me. Really dirty removal card, which you don't see enough for people to really ever be expecting. So yeah, You Have Forgotten Me, still a fantastic card. We're running a 4/4 of the Queen line. But we're also running 4 copies of Flynn Rider Confident Vagabond to be a 1/3 1-drop. Running 4 copies of the Charming Rogue Flynn Rider to be an additional 2-drop on our curve. 4 copies of Jasper to be annoying, and having 4 willpower keeps him out of range of a lot of things. We're running the 4 Kuzco, which is standard. It is the Temperamental Emperor. He got 2nd place at the recent Return of the Mim event, so put some respect on the name. 4 copies of the Mad Hatter to be an aggressive quester. 4 willpower keeps him out of range of a lot of chip things, and if they are challenging into him, especially if it's multiple times, then we can get a lot of value. 4 copies of Ray, another 5 cost, working really well with Mufasa. Evasive, if they don't have an answer, then he's just going to sit there and quest a huge. Also running 4 copies of Tiana, 5 cost, so another character we can play on turn 4 if we got turn 3 Doc. 5/3 stat line is pretty big, and again questing for 3. And then the main innovation here, sorry I got an itchy nose, we've got 4 copies of Just in Time, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. It's another non-character card for a potential bad hit of Mufasa, but it does mean you can miss Doc and still get your turn. Well, no, you get it early, you get it turn 3. So yeah, you can either miss Doc or choose to not play Doc. It also actually technically means that you get your Mufasa or your just 5-cost character down the turn sooner. To be fair, actually, let's talk also now straight away about the Bell Hidden Archer who is here. Who is a 3/3, so does get taken out by Smash. Quest for 3, which is big, and Thorny Arrows. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging character player discards all cards in their hand, which is big. So being able to play at turn 3 is big. I recently said that with the release of Morph, even though, again, we don't know how great Morph is going to be, because how good he becomes equals how much extra chip damage cards people are playing. And they're already playing a lot, but Morph still will see a place in format regardless. I think it's just too good to not. And I think Bell is one of the better targets for it. So this is doing the same thing, essentially. So maybe my initial reaction was too harsh. Maybe in this specific build with this many 5-cost characters, I think getting the Bell out turn 3 is probably huge, especially if you're not against Steel. Yeah, looks good. I hold on to your Hidden Archer Bells. I feel like she's going to get a lot better into the Inklands format. We haven't even seen it all. Maybe we get a 1-cost 2/2 Bell. Who knows? But yeah, fantastic, fun looking list. So yeah, congratulations to this person. And that's it for the top 8 deck lists for the Rule 0 Win a Case event. A nice bit of diversity in deck lists. Peter Pan Shadow becoming a hard staple in Ruby Amethyst. And yeah, I think the talking point, the addition of You Can Fly. What do you think if you're a Ruby Amethyst player? Will you be trying it out? Had you already tried it out and are surprised to see it here? Is it a one-off? Let me know down below, but thank you for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please do subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit the like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.